the Tank and Friends. Finally, we got here. At last. Thomas the Tank and Friends, arguably one of the most popular children's shows of all time. Literally by a high mile. It's arguably one of my favourite shows of all time as well, for a lot of people, for every single person around the world. If you're not too sure why, if you don't understand that last little bit of sentence, Thomas the Tank is a worldwide phenomenon around the world. He's bigger, same as the Beatles, same as Doctor Who, anything else, maybe music-wise and other stuff, like big worldwide phenomenon. He's massive, like he's one of those like living legends. He's still going on to this very day. Right, that's the worldwide phenomenon stuff out of the way. Let's get into the nostalgic and basics and little info of what the show means so well to a lot of people around the world and to us Brits as well. So let's begin with the introduction, or let's say the introduction to Thomas the Tank and Friends, how he became what he is today. So Thomas the Tank and Friends, the original version was based on the books by Reverend Wilbert Awdry, and they were published between 1945 and 1972, although Thomas the Tank actually appeared in the second book, this self-titled book from 1946. And then on, he's been appearing in multiple books, and his friends have been doing adventures, lovely written by Wilbert himself, which I actually think are brilliant. The 26 books that Wilbert has written are absolutely fantastic. I think every single person, every single child who, and maybe adults as well, actually, because they've been around for years, like literally years. They've been around since the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and early 70s. My God, they're just a very fascinating read. And then in 1983, his son Christopher took the mantle and wrote his own stories, which are about, I would say, they're okay. I mean, they haven't got the edge what Wilbert had, I would say. He would Wilbert would incorporate there's some dark stuff in Wilbert's books, whereas Christopher, it's too light. It's a bit too light for me, I would say. But I think I've read one, I think. I literally can't remember what book it was, or I can't remember. I can't remember really, but I remember really enjoying it that much, or enjoyed it. It's just a book. It's just one of those books. And then we come to the 1984, which is the first when Thomas the Tank and Friends first came to television screens, and it was done by Britt Allcroft and David Mitton. David Mitton, fun fact, he actually worked with Jerry Anderson. He worked on Captain Scarlet, Thunderbirds. What was the other one? Was it Joe 19? Is that Joe? Was Joe 19 something one of those? Anyway, he's worked on a few productions with Jerry Anderson, and he had a company called Clearwater Features with Robert D. Cardona, who was Canadian, and Britt Allcroft, who actually did a documentary on the Valley, and she was intrigued by the books when she was listening to the railway, and thought I could do a show like that, and thus we got the show. Now, let's discuss the storytellers at one moment. So, the first two seasons, in 84 and 86, were narrated by Ringo Starr. For any people who don't know Ringo Starr, he was a drummer in the Beatles, one of the Fab Four, and it's interesting, really, because when you look at it, you can think of other famous people who associate themselves, like pop stars, associated themselves with children's TV shows, i.e. Toya Wilcox, with Brum, and I think it was just Brum she mainly worked on. She didn't do the narration for, and Paul McCartney did a sort of thing with Rupert Bear, same year as this, and Bernard Cribbins. I don't know if you count Bernard Cribbins actually doing stuff like that. Who knows? But Ringo Starr was the first storyteller, for the 80s, who afterward, for his criteria, I know he was a drummer in the Beatles, but he did some acting occasionally, because he was in something called Candy. He was in Caveman, which was another one. Give my regards to Broad Street, which actually came here the same year as this, and I think he's just been doing music since. And then we come to Michael Angelis. He's good, I do have to admit. I really love his energetic sort of. I think he's got a bit of brashness to is narration. When looking at his other work that he's been doing, it's actually really different and quite the opposite to what Ringo Starr was doing, like in acting wise, because he was in the Liverbirds, I think it is. He was in The Boys in the Black Stuff, which is phenomenal. There's another one called I Woke Up One Morning, which is a very unknown sitcom to do with alcoholics in a psychiatric institution, and he was in Alvina's Impact in the early 2000s. He was in these those adverts for Stone's Bitter, which is quite a lot of them actually, quite funny. When I think about it, I think, how did he get the job? Like, how? That sort of baffles me. Like, all this stuff that he's been doing prior to Thomas Tange and Friends, it's so different. So different. Like, he played more serious roles, mainly in Liverpool. Oh, I forgot to mention, they're all they all are Liverpool actors, and, they speak in the normal Liverpool accent. So, the main thing for UK Thomas Tange series, always have a Scouse narrator. That's its trademark, one of the trademarks. And I can't forget Junior Campbell and Michael Donnell. Phenomenal music. Junior Campbell, a funny thing about him, he used to be like a hit maker. It was like he had a few hits in the early 70s. He did. Funny enough that is, and you can find him on YouTube. I think he was in the top 20 months in 1973. I can't remember the names though, the names of the songs, but you can find them on YouTube. Just search him up. They're actually quite not bad songs, considered for the 70s. And let's go to the nostalgia bit now. How did I become introduced to Thomas Tange and Friends? Weirdly enough, I didn't know about this, but my parents actually told me this I think years back when I was about 13, 14, I would say, and that. So I was growing up in a bungalow in the late 90s. I was only an infant. I was, and there's a guy who my dad knew, who actually couldn't write. This was back in the days when he used to work on wallboard. He used to fix pipes and stuff like that. Used to go around old places, fixing pipes and everything like that. And at that point, he sort of left his job because the company he was working were merging with another company, and I think it wasn't going too well. And he met a guy called John Peel. Not John Peel, the BBC radio DJ and Top of the Pops presenter, and not the other John Peel, who was a Doctor Who novelist and stuff like that, who lives in New York or something like that. No, this is a guy called John Peel who couldn't read and couldn't write, and he collected these VHSs of Thomas Tange and Friends for I don't know how many years, and he gave them to me as a sort of a gift because I was around at the time. And this contained about 11 VHSs spanning between 1 to 4. Mainly, was it 86 to 96 actually, and I've kept them since actually. I mean, it's quite funny. I mean, I've still got some of the old original 80s VHSs. I do, like some of the old ones, like quite old. I can't say what type of 80s VHSs I've got. Some people think it's like super rare or some cheap budget version or something like that, but I've kept them for years. And since then my parents have bought me quite a few more, like from Series 5 and stuff like that. It's just, I mean, I think of those VHSs as my personal collection, the ones I find nostalgic towards. The first 5 seasons from 1984 to 1998 are my personal favourites. I mean, I do have a soft spot for Series 6 and 7, but compared to the first 5 with Allcroft attached, they have more bite to them, I think, especially like Series 5. Series 5 is totally different and very starkly different from any other season whatsoever. It is a very strange oddity in itself. Like, it's quite dark, it's mature, it's very action-packed most of the time, and it has some weird out-of-character stuff that you never really see in later seasons or stuff that was like in the previous 4 seasons. It's totally different. Like, it's really just something else. And that's from like 1998. Wow. So good. Yeah, so Thomas Tank and Friends, it is arguably one of the most impressive children's shows of all time. It's nostalgic for me, it's nostalgic for anyone else. And watching these clips, you think, what a great childhood I had watching these, it's pretty interesting. And the comments will be filled with stuff like, I love that show when I was young. It's just everyone's childhood watching this, It's like, I don't know what you think of it. He's like a recurring character in your life. Like he's been stuck in your life for about, let's see, for me, 21 years. I had to spend I've to spend a lifetime stuck with this character in my head. Like of what for your child and everything like that. It's pretty interesting and very nostalgic, and it's one of the high points of what I'm doing with Path of Nostalgia. This is what I want to do with this series. Discuss TV shows that are truly loved by everyone, and also myself. It's just brilliant. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next video.